What is going on, everybody? It is Sunday night, so that means it is time for the I-71 Playbook Podcast. I'm Bebe, and with me, as always, is apparently Mapman BC. How
Hi,
are we
baby.
tonight?
Happy
Hi!
Sunday. How's it
Happy
going?
Sunday!
Oh, it's been a marathon of a day, but I'm here. Good to be here.
Same. The majority of my day was spent in a vehicle, so that was fun.
Oh, I forgot. BB is in Ohio. Welcome home.
I am home, so
it's
so
gonna be a good. It's,
hooray!
it's gonna be a good pod, isn't it? I just got the feel. I mean, I don't think we've ever had a bad pod, but today's gonna be a good pod.
I think it's been a good pod. It's
Yeah,
always a good
I
pod.
think we're gonna crush this. It's fine. It's fine.
As
So
long as
what's up?
neither one of us end up in Oz, apparently we're supposed to get some nasty weather coming in.
That's what you're saying. Let's fingers
Hopefully,
crossed.
hopefully my home away from home is because
The,
I always say that. Like I always say when I'm in Cleveland, I'm home, and then when I say I'm in Michigan, I'm home. So I home is where the Wi-Fi is apparently. So that's how we're gonna roll with that
you
one.
know, so there's a new member of the BC household today, a brand new
There
member,
is
Jose the cat. Jose is now joining the household.
Jose.
My mom's cat, and unfortunately, my mom's new place she can't have cats. So
Oh,
Jose is with me, and the last thing I want to do is I'm going to actually I'm introducing them to the house, kind of gently here in the basement. And
hmm
the last thing I want Jose to have to experience is a thunderstorm. Um, oh, speaking of the devil,
yeah.
my little buddy's
Oh,
here. Buddy, you want to go on the pod? Huh? Come here.
are we gonna have our first guest?
Come here. Come here. Oh, we're back. This is Jose. Hi, Jose. Say hi to everybody.
Hi,
This
Jose.
is
Well, you are our first guest on the I-71 Playbook Podcast, my
my
guy.
buddy.
Welcome.
This
You're going to
guy
be
is just.
famous.
Oh, you're gonna be YouTube famous, buddy. For
Just
for the
don't show
70
your butthole. You'll get us banned.
for the 70 people who's gonna watch you. Ah.
I'm going to tell I'm going to tell Jose the same thing I tell BC. Don't show your butthole. It's going to get us banned. No.
So far, so good. I mean,
I mean,
you got. I've been able to restrain myself through what 18 pods now. Is it 18?
18. We're on
Holy crap!
number 18.
Holy moly! So what's
Holy
up?
moly.
What's new in Cleveland and Columbus sports, BB?
Well, this week, the Guardians are back.
Good
Had to
start.
bring back the although I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with the Guardians organization, mainly
Oh,
their promo team.
talk to me.
So earlier this week, they released some information about a new streaming availability to be able to actually watch the Guardians, because that's been the bane of existence for many a Cleveland fan for the last couple of years, actually.
Been a subject on
Because
this pod quite a few times.
quite a few times. And why, kids? Because Bally Sports is trash. Anyway, moving on. That's why they're bankrupt. Oops. Sorry about
Too,
it.
not too soon.
No, never too soon. Um, so they announced that they were partnering with MLB TV, that you could pay. It was like $99 for a year, or it's like $22 a month, and you could do all the games. Supposedly you can stream all of the games, no blackout restrictions, nothing. So I was kind of looking at it, one, because obviously I am out of market, and two, my dad is a huge Indians fan. He's a huge Cleveland sports fan. He's one of the main reasons why I am a sports nerd. Thanks, Dad. So I'm like, okay, so we can't, get him down to games, bring it into the living room where it's even better. So then I start seeing all of the posts on official Guardians social media on opening day of people who are absolutely pissed because they just dropped $100 and were promised that they can watch the Guardians games with no blackout restrictions. Go to turn on the game and wah, wah, blackout restrictions. So
Really?
Are we the Guardians this year, or is it the Garda Shams? I'm curious. I got questions. Do we another rebranding?
So yeah, I'm a little confused because they've been all over the place with this TV deal. First of all,
Yeah.
hey, if you have WUAB CW, you're going to watch every game. I heard that. Well, guess what? YouTube TV just got the CW. So if you have YouTube TV, I just watched the Cavs game on UAB. I was like, this is awesome. We're
Really?
going to watch the Guardians. And then the
I'll have to
Guardians
pass it along
dropped.
because my parents do have YouTube TV, so that's
Well,
good to know
so
that at least he can watch the Cavs.
yeah, so the Guardians then put out a press release that, hey, we'll be on Fubu, we'll be on DirecTV, we'll be on Spectrum, we'll be on Time Warner. No mention of UAB.
Nope.
So, like, do I have to drop the $100? Because I'll be honest with you, I will. I will drop $100 to watch the Guardians this season. But do I have to? Are they going to be on you? Like, there's so much confusion, and then you try to try to do a Google search on it. There's no answers right now.
No, there's not. And I don't know who is in charge of negotiating the TV rights and the streaming rights. I hope they've been fired like 16 times over. And honestly, I hope they step on Legos and their pinky toe finds every piece of furniture for the rest of time, because this has been dropped so badly. And it's not just for one season, it's consistently.
Oh, yeah. And I'm watching, or listening to, I'm sorry, this week at 92.3 The Fan on my way home from work. And they do a big promo. Like the Guardians did a big promo. Hey, we're going to be in 5 million more homes in Northeast Ohio. And I'm like,
do they know that?
Yeah,
right,
homes.
Like, how do you get on that list?
Exactly. Like, so, I'm going to the next. Well, Guardians are going to start playing night games here, and when I'm home, and I'm going to turn on UAB and see if I can get the games. See if that was true or false. But I mean, that literally came from the Guardians this winter. That their games, because I was like, oh, we're going back to 43. Where's Jack Corrigan and Joe Tate?
Right. Oh, so, Joe Tate.
Joe Tate, sweet. We're gonna talk about a couple of sweethearts in Cleveland media. There was no better man, and I got to work with Joe Tate. I think I told you about that a couple times. Oh yeah, so when I was in Mount Union, and I was doing play-by-play in color for Mount Union football for the student radio station 91.1 WRMU, Ohio's Jazz Giant. Anyway.
Oh, he still got it.
Actually, they do. I believe they do pop now. They do pop music. But anyway, we would travel, obviously, and we'd always travel with Joe Tate because Joe Tate was doing it for TV. And
that's awesome.
And so we would get to go with Joe Tate and Harry Paytas, who also did the TV broadcast. And I mean, we just sat there and listened to him. He just told stories, And
BC sitting there like,
oh, I was just like, and it was every road trip. It was just so cool. And then during the games, if there's downtime, Joe's up there in the booth by himself. You could go up there and you could just pick his brain, ask him about the business, ask him about he was just the most approachable, awesome dude. And
that's
not
so
to mention
fun.
And not to mention one of the best broadcasters in all of history, like hands down, one of the best broadcasters of all time. So yeah, Joe Tate, was just one of my heroes. And the fact I got to pseudo work with him for a couple of years was just what a privilege and an honor.
Cleveland really lucked out when it came to professional announcers for our sports. I mean, we've had some really legendary voices. I mean, Joe Tate for the Cavs for a number of years. The Browns, we had Jimmy Donovan, who unfortunately, was recently lost. And then
even before Jim Donovan, you had Neb Chandler, who was a legendary, and he died young. And then you got Hammy, and I mean, man, we are spoiled.
We are incredibly spoiled. And I was talking to my person as we were starting to watch the some of the opening day games, and I said, unfortunately, one of my baseball bucket lists is never going to come true. And he kind of looks and he's like, well, what do you mean? I go, I would have absolutely loved to have the fictional Cleveland Indians announcer, Mr. Harry Doyle, affectionately known as Bob Uecker, and Hammy actually call a Cleveland game. And that would have just been amazing, in my opinion. And unfortunately, with us losing him earlier this year, that will never happen, sadly.
I don't know if people realize that Bob Uecker, once again, television star, former baseball player, lots of movies. He was actually the play-by-play guy for the Milwaukee Brewers for a long time.
The Brewers for the longest time, yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been great for him and Hammy to get together just to do one game. That'd have been
just
amazing.
So much fun,
just a bit outside.
Just a bit, and just to hear that, and then to hear Hammy call a homer right after that or something like that would be just.
Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, ball 5, ball 6, ball 8,
ball 12.
God, it's a great movie.
Such great movie
that you are representing today.
I am, and then so we've got Conspiracy Corner that we've talked about a couple of times. So you always tend to turn the hat backwards. That's when you're getting into your little conspiracy. So I decided that I would be remiss. I would be remiss if I did not also have something to kind of take it off a little track here. So hold on a minute. I have
Wild Thing, You Make My Heart Sing. It's awesome. Awesome.
So, yay! I had to wear the shirt. I had to wear the glasses.
By the way, Major League 2 underrated. Just saying. Major League 2 underrated.
So my hierarchy of the Major League movies, obviously Major League, the original.
Oh yeah.
You can't go wrong. But see, it's close. It's neck and neck with the second and the third one. The third one has some great one-liners, but then again, so does the second one. So.
I mean,
are you just learning that there was a third one?
No, I knew there was a third one. I just knew it was garbage. But anyway.
We do not, sir, on this podcast, we do not defame Scott Bakula. You stop that right now.
Quantum Leap was a great television show. Quantum Leap was great. Not gonna lie.
Necessary Roughness is an amazing football movie.
Not gonna lie. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, today.
I can actually put my actual eyeballs on so I can.
Hey, finish up with the Gardos though. Gardos get a two. They get their first series win of the year today. Taking 2-3 against Kansas City, so it's a good start to the year.
Woo-hoo. I like it. I'm here for it.
And heading back home here this week for the home opener, which once again I will lobby. That should be a day off for all of us. Home opener,
be a national holiday.
Super Bowl Sunday. And obviously that first Tuesday in November. But anyway. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna get political in a little bit.
Uh-oh. Am I gonna need a stronger beverage than what we've got?
The good governor and I's flirtation is done. So.
Trouble in paradise. Oh no.
Yeah.
So also this week though, hold on.
No, go ahead.
I don't know if we're ready to get political just yet. I mean, 15 minutes into the pod, maybe not.
That's more. Yeah, that's more 48, 49. Okay, go for it.
So also this week, Mr. BC had his first Monsters game. I'm so proud. How was that? Oh, the Jet in a Jet bobblehead.
Hey Jet, how'd you do last night? What? Did you have fun playing? No, good time.
It's his birthday.
Time. Oh man, he had a rough. It was a rough night. In his defense, though, really, he only gave up one goal. Goal 2 was one of the worst defended plays I've ever seen in a hockey game. Like,
Yeah, they're
the dude from Texas was so wide open. He's sitting there with the puck, and there's nobody within 20 feet of him. So he's like,
yeah.
okay, I'm going to skate forward, and then nobody came after him, and he's like, okay, wrister, goal two.
Yeah,
Jet had no
breakaways
chance.
are not our strong suit this year.
That wasn't even a breakaway. That was them in a set offense. Yeah. Oh, it was. It was definitely a defensive breakdown. Then there was an empty goal at that empty netter. I'm sorry. Goal
empty netters always hurt.
Yeah.
When empty netters always hurt when you're not the one scoring them.
So let me ask you a question, because you are by far the hockey expert here. Is it unusual to pull your goalie with 3 minutes left?
No.
Okay, because I'm looking down and there's just a little over 3 minutes left in the game, and I'm like, oh my God, they already pulled the goalie. I always thought that was kind of reserved for like the last minute and a half, 2 minutes.
So here's why. There's no rule of when you can and can't do it. 3 minutes is a smidge on the higher end of when you want to do it. But when you are only down by a goal and there's still 3 minutes left in the game, what I can guarantee was going through Coach Vogelhuber's mind was, hey, we're down by a goal. If we can pull the goalie, we can get that extra skater out there and, tie it up. We still have time to possibly, pull ahead or go into overtime and things like that. So 3 minutes is not unheard of. And it's only stupid if it doesn't work. And unfortunately for Trent last night and the rest of the Monsters, it did not work. But I was kind of cautious when Vogelhuber was actually named as the head coach, because I loved him as a player. He's a local kid. He was on the team that won the Calder Cup back in 2016. So, he's got great history with the city, great love. The fans love him. But then there's that transition to coach, and it's not always smooth. So I think he's still finding his feet as a coach, but he's definitely got fire in him. He will definitely take these guys to task. So this season, they're kind of on, it's a bit of a roller coaster right now. They're looking at about 4th place in the North Division. We're also about 8th in the Eastern Conference. But the last 6 games, they're split. So, they're 3-3 in the last 6 games. And what's troubling, or not troubling, but what's hard is because we're so late into the season, and because now Columbus is going back up on an upswing, so they're going for a playoff push, and then they're also dealing with injuries. The Monsters have also lost some really, really key pieces of their game to injuries as well, or to call-ups. So that's just kind of the way it goes with the minor leagues. You got to roll with it and try and put the best kind of guys out there on the ice. But that was a tough one to lose, though.
So the highlight of the game for me, they had all the youth hockey teams from Northeast Ohio that had won championships come out, and they did a skate, and I don't remember what school or what city. It wasn't schools. They were all like, Little League hockey. This kid comes out and he's just balls to the wall. Like, he's like, I'm going to do the fastest lap ever. And he fell and went headfirst into the boards.
Oh, no.
And like, there was a collective, and then everybody just lost it. And this kid just got up and he's looking around. There's 10,000 people there.
I meant to do that. Oh, yeah. I know.
I said, someday that kid's going to have to own that thing. It's like,
absolutely.
I always joke that, I've been knocked unconscious on 2 of the most famous high school football fields in the United States. Both at formerly Hall of Fame Stadium, but Tom Benson Field, and then Paul Brown Stadium. I have lost consciousness due to getting blown up by a guy on the field twice. That kid someday is going to be like, hey, you remember that time he bit it up in Rocket Arena?
10,000 people?
He's going to hear Shooter McGavin and go, no, I didn't. Or he's going to go, yeah, I gave everybody a good show.
Let's roll the clip. They're going to roll that. They're going to put that out at his graduation, his wedding. You
He
know,
hit it so hard. He hit it so hard.
that is one of my favorite things that they feature in Monsters games. They're huge with the youth hockey organizations in the league. And my favorites are they're the Mite League. So they're the really, really tiny little peanut guys where their pads weigh more than they do.
Yeah.
And they look like, I can't think of his name, the little brother from A Christmas Story. I can't
Randy.
put my arms down. Randy. Yes, Randy. But so they come skating out, they're all, geared out head to toe, and they've got their stick and they're ready to roll. And they're just swallowed up by by the gear and the pads. And it's very, I can't put my arms down.
It was cute. It was really cute.
It is. It's so fun. And then there's been games where they do, like, in between the intermissions and stuff like that, they'll actually let them play like little games. They'll bring four teams out, and they'll have the ice, and it's more of them falling than anything. Like, it's not. Yeah. They're trying to whiff and just bite it, and it's so. I can laugh at little kids falling on the ice all day long. I don't know what that says about me. I think it's adorable.
I made the comment. There was quite a few whiffs of the puck. At close range, and I said, This is why it's not the NHL. And for those kids, this is why it's not the AHL. So,
right.
No, it was
a good time.
Though. It was a good time. It was a good time. They put on a good show there. They really do.
They do. They really do.
Whether it's Cavs game, Monsters game, or whatever they're doing at Rocket. Oh, I shut it. Dang it.
You're lucky they already played today.
Well, yeah, I might. But
what did I say last week?
I'm sorry.
Fight Club, Bruno, Will Smith's bald-headed, crabby wife, and the Cleveland Basketball Organization.
So the team that must not be named. By the way, since we said we weren't going to talk about them, have went 4-5. So I'm just saying.
Maybe we're not totally the problem.
Go a 3-game win streak, and go 4-5 since.
If they lose tomorrow,
sorry, they win 4-5. They win 4-5. I'm sorry, they did not play 9 games this past week, but
yikes, man.
But no, so like we said, hey, we're not going to mention them, and they get going again. So we'll
so now
stop right there.
If they lose tomorrow, since I'm in state, dude.
So.
You and I will fight in a Wendy's parking lot. I'm telling you right now.
Dude, this is a Wendy's.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
Sorry, if I'm going to drop an Office reference, I had to do it. Hot, spicy redhead, Wendy. Okay, moving on.
Spicy redhead? Excuse me, what?
Spicy redhead right now.
What? What?
Oh, so, get out of the way. Let's talk brownies. What do you think?
I love brownies. For a little sea salt. Oh, not those brownies.
So let me ask you. Okay,
the horrible brownies. Got it.
Has a baker. Okay, has a baker. Has somebody who likes to concoct confections.
You.
My question for you, Bebe, with your brownies. Okay, first of all. Frosting, no frosting?
It depends. It depends on the mood, depends on the type of brownie.
Okay. We're just talking fudge brownie. Chocolate
just
fudge.
every day?
Every day.
Probably no.
Okay. Fair. Because there's a lot of creamy goodness already. You don't need it. Okay. Now, next question for you on that non-frosted brownie. Do you like chunks of chocolate in it?
I do put chunks of chocolate in my brownies.
I mean, that's the right answer. Like, you just passed the quiz. A+ for you today. That's
I didn't even study.
Yeah, like you gotta have the chocolate in there. You gotta have the chunks of chocolate. It just gives it a little extra panache.
Sounds like a little extra zing. The Bandana Kitchen has been busy the last couple of weeks. And it's mainly been just for my family because, we'll be making out the grocery list and my person will be like, hey, do me a favor, put cookies on the list. And I'm like, do you want cookies or do you want like cookie ingredients? And I go in the kitchen. Now, my person being who he is will absolutely never tell me to go in the kitchen because he knows better. But he also knows. I'm like, just say, babe, I want cookies. Or babe, I want this. And I'm like, okay.
Nobody puts BB in the kitchen. Nobody puts BB in the kitchen.
BB puts BB in the kitchen because that just lets me. I put the earbuds in. We put on some angry music, and just we go. But it has been.
You just beat the hell out of that batter, don't you?
That's when I'm making bread. I save that for. put the Rage Against the Machine on and get the old boxing skills up. Oh, great stuff. Bread turns out amazing too. So yesterday, while packing and getting everything ready for my my adventure to come down to the land, had to create 2 confections while I was going to be gone for the people who live in my house. Apparently, it's a bribe to let me go, like to leave. I have to leave treats. Is negotiating my surrender. So we got chocolate chip cookies that were made. 3 dozen of those, because that's what my recipe does. And apparently, I have been told that there is a narcotic substance in my Rice Krispie treats. So, in the last 2 weeks,
is it legal in Ohio now?
Maybe.
The silence is deafening.
It is. Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask anybody at the Cleveland Clinic, the answer is going to be no. You ask anyone else, the answer is going to be yes. I've got there's 5 words that go into my Rice Krispie treats, but I won't tell you measurements and I won't tell you everything. Brown butter and sweetened condensed milk. So, good stuff.
Secret, folks, put your detective hats on. Go Carmen Sandiego. Be Encyclopedia Brown. And figure out BB's recipe. How's that for a throwback?
You're reaching all the way back into my childhood. Like, I'm afraid Chris Hansen's going to pop out and you're making some inappropriate gestures to my childhood there, sir.
Stop it. I'm getting a little nervous. Mr. Jose just discovered the cat tree down here, and he's looking at me like he's about to get in some shenanigans.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
we'll see.
I think my little co-star tonight, she left. She finally got bored.
So the Browns.
The Browns.
This week has been just mind-numbing when it comes to Browns draft coverage. Let me tell you the things I have heard from experts. From the media. I don't know why we did this to the media. They literally are the media, but experts. Okay.
No, actually, I was saying experts. They are the media, experts. But so the experts is generous.
I have heard, and this is from draft gurus. This is from Schefter and Rappaport and whoever.
Right.
Abdul Carter, Browns taking him at number 2. Did you know that?
I've heard that quite a bit, and I have some things on that as well.
Travis Hunter going to the Browns at number 2. Did you know that? Shedeur Sanders going to the Browns at number 2. Cam Ward, after being passed on by the Tennessee Titans, going to the Browns at number 2. The Browns are going to trade up to get Cam Ward. The Browns are going to trade down because they don't want Shedeur Sanders. Kirk Cousins, well, we just know he's on a meal plan now in Cleveland. But Kirk Cousins in Cleveland because, the Browns are not taking the rookie quarterback and he's not going to get Michael Penix again. So he's going to be our starting quarterback. Kirk Cousins is coming to Cleveland so he can mentor a rookie. Dak Prescott. Now, I want to preface this. Bruce Drennan did not die, but RIP Bruce Drennan today. Dak Prescott is coming to the Browns via trade, and so is Derek Carr. All things I heard this week from reputable sources.
Like, okay, so I know a free time enriching substance was recently passed here in Ohio.
This is the national media. Like, at least I'm going to give the Cleveland beat writers like credit. They don't know what the Browns are going to do, and the one thing the Browns have been good at since Barry's been here is nobody has any clue what they're doing. Like they
well,
just
that's evident.
don't.
If you've watched any game on Sundays, it's
Right.
evident they don't know what the hell they're doing.
But when it comes to what they're going to do it to, nobody really knows. Now we have tried to read the tea leaves here at the I-71 Playbook Podcast, and we have our theories.
Hold on.
There it is.
I can actually put them on over my glasses. There we go. Oh, there it is.
So I'm still once again. My draft crush this year is Cam Ward, but I still believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns, and I'm okay with it. I like Shedeur. Here's a couple things about Shedeur Sanders real quick before we go a little deeper here.
He's growing on me. I will say that.
Pop quiz. Learn this week. What Power 5 college football team had the worst offensive line according to Pro Football Focus?
College
team had the worst ranked offensive line in college football last year.
Colorado, I'm going to say.
The Colorado Buffaloes. Stat number 2. Which college Power 5 team had the worst running attack last year?
I'm sorry, Miss Peggy, with the Colorado Buffaloes.
Colorado Buffaloes would be correct, BB. So I just kind of want to put this.
Next set. Excited.
So maybe you'll get a VCR. So anyway,
woo!
So kids, a VCR was a piece of physical media. So anyway, no, the Colorado Buffaloes. And I didn't know this till this week, and it is true. They had the worst offensive line of the Power 5, so over 100 teams. They had the worst running attack in the Power 5. And somehow, Shedeur Sanders still completed just under 75% of his passes. And so when I see that and know that he put up historic completion percentage this year, I'm a lot more intrigued. Like, we know the kid's tough. We know the kid's smart. We know he can run an offense. We know he's really, really accurate, and he has really great ball placement. But hearing those numbers and knowing that Colorado won 9 games and we're just on the outside looking in of the playoff, it's pretty impressive. Like you said, the kid's kind of growing on me.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he is growing on me too. But here's the thing you also need to look at. I mean, this is after just 2 years of their program being turned around.
Right.
Because for decades, they were literally the bottom of the basement of their conference. So the fact of what Deion has done in 2 seasons is remarkable. I mean, if anyone will tell you that, ask Deion. He'll be the first to tell you.
What? By the way, it's crazy too, because they come from Jackson State and HBCU. Okay, for you kids out there, historic black college. This is not even a MAC team. Like, these are the low end of Division I. These are traditionally schools that are not very strong. Not only to jump up to a Division I team, but to take a Division I team that had won 1 game and just 2 years later, once again, making a playoff push, making a conference championship push, and also winning 9 games.
Getting a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, Shedeur, like I said, Shedeur's kind of growing on me. They took Miss Peggy to
a bowl game this year.
Yeah, they did, and that, that's the thing. Like, I could roll with him at 2. I really could.
See, and I can, and we started to talk about this last week, and the fact that He has media training, so he's saying all the right things.
He absolutely is.
He definitely has a work ethic on him. And the fact that he's taking the Baker approach and that he wants to be the guy to fight, to put Cleveland as a whole on his back and say, let's go,
Yep.
let's roll.
You gotta love it.
So you know what? I do. And that's really, and like I said, hearing him speak, and the kid's very intelligent, very well spoken. And again, he can pretty much thank his father for that, I'm sure, because one, watching him grow up, and his dad's in the media. I mean, the man can do a press conference like no other, and that's going back to his playing days. But the fact that he's taking the approach, he knows it's a mess going into Cleveland. He does. And I also saw this week something from Dion, because I know there was a lot of talk just about a month ago that there may or may not be some Manning action going on when it comes to the draft in Shedeur. And this week, Dion walked those comments back and said, wherever he goes, he goes. I'm not going to step in. I'm not going to do anything about it. So that's a little telling to me too. But again, I've seen a lot of what the Browns are doing. And there's a little information that I, came across in doing some show prep.
Hold on. Insider knowledge?
Oh, absolutely not. Look, I am an asshole with a smartphone. I mean, that's all I'm doing for show prep.
What else? I mean, hey, you could take that to the highest office in 2025. So you need.
I'm not a felon though. That's a problem. Like, I don't have any felonies.
Okay. We weren't doing the
parking tickets, 10 minutes. Speeding tickets. Maybe
we got 10 minutes to the political talk. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So also, this week, keeping with the Browns hope, dealing with some pro days, and there was a bit of a division when it came to who went where for pro day. Certain members of our management team went to one pro day. One member of our management team went to another pro day, which kind of makes things really, really interesting.
This is so this whole thing's so ridiculous, and this is why this is the worst time to be a football fan, especially if you have a high draft pick, because it's like we're back waiting for LeBron watching Dan Gilbert's airplane. It's where's Andrew Berry going? Where the Haslam's going? Cam Ward has his pro day, and Andrew Berry's not there.
Yeah, do you want to know where Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam were?
Where were they?
State College, Pennsylvania.
But they had a private workout with Cam Ward and dinner with Cam Ward. They didn't go to the pro day. They had their own workout with him. And then they flew to State College, where they did the same thing with Abdul Carter. And guess what they're doing this week? Oh, they're going to fly out, have dinner with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So, by the way, Colorado is not having a pro day. They're having an exhibition or whatever. I forget what they're called, a celebration of football or something.
Of course they are.
Dion branded that too.
Right. Oh, God, yeah. He's got to
love him or hate him, but yeah, that guy's got the media. He's got the media game down. But I heard that was for about 5 minutes in the news cycle this week. The Browns aren't at Cam Ward's pro day. Andrew Berry, he needs to be there. Why isn't he there? And then you find out that night that they had a private workout with him and dinner with the whole entire front office. And then they did it with Abdul Carter, and they're going to do it again with Colorado.
And God,
I was just going to say, there's a lot of things what's going to criticize the Browns about, but their actions during silly season after the combine before the draft, or after free agency before the draft. This is not a time to they're seeing everybody. They're talking to everybody. They're
Yeah.
having private workouts. They're doing their due diligence. Like they're going to do their due diligence. And I think I think we are both in agreement. It's Shador. I think they told Myles Garrett that, and that's why Myles was happy and giddy. I think he's all about having Shador as his quarterback, and it is what it is.
It's entirely possible. I mean, but see, to throw a couple more wrinkles into what may or may not be happening at 2, we had Kevin Stefanski take a trip down to Ole Miss, and he was on watched Jackson Dart put on an absolute clinic. So again, that's a pick I wouldn't hate either. What's that?
No, I said against Aaron his shorts, but it's whatever.
I didn't even realize Kevin Stefanski had legs. I'm like, what are you? Sir,
no. I'm talking about Jackson Dart. Like, I mean, so it's like Will Howard this week. Will Howard, oh my God, he had an amazing pro day. He completed 65 of 67 passes, and I'm like, there was nobody guarding his receivers. He's already accurate. You don't put somebody out there. I just watched this guy throw 14 in a row against Notre Dame in the national championship. Of course, he went 65 for 67 at his pro day. Come on. Why are we reporting that?
Well, it's kind of funny that you bring up Will Howard, because I apparently now have a beef with an independent Cleveland Browns reporter.
Are we independent Cleveland Browns reporters?
Kind of.
I mean, I feel like we're as credential as a lot of people on Twitter or Blue Sky. Like, I literally feel that way.
No, that's fair.
What's your credential? Oh, I've been watching football for a while. I turn on some YouTube and it break down a little film on YouTube. I played
JV, 73 years ago.
Yeah, a guy I know who knows a guy, works for the Browns grounds crew, who knows people, I get a little insider information every now and then. It's like,
what? My mom's brother's, son's, baby mama's ex-boyfriend used to be a janitor at First Energy Stadium, so he knows things. Like, he gives me my information.
There was a dude, and I can't remember because I did leave. Both of us left Twitter a little while back, and there was a guy on Twitter. I just remember his first name was Kevin. And this guy,
it's always Kevin.
This guy claimed to have every scoop, and he never got anything. Like, he never made a prediction right. Oh, we're about to sign this free agent, or we're about to make this trade, and none of it ever came right. So then, like, after about a year,
was he working at like Dairy Queen with all of his scoops? Like, what?
I don't know. This, after getting like literally dog walked on Twitter because he missed on every prediction. He started then, after the Browns would do something, he would just say, "I told you guys this was going to happen." And you go back and you're like, "Did he say this in his history?" No, he never said a word.
No,
I told you guys.
Not.
No. I personally told a friend of mine, and it came true. I told you guys. It's just like, what does it take to be? Anyway, let's get back to your reporter before we keep going after internet Browns reporter.
So the website is Dog Pound Daily, and they've, from what I've seen, I have. They've got
read some of the stuff
decent articles. Yeah, decent articles. But apparently, when it comes to, not fans of Will Howard at all, when it comes to reporting. So in an article that I was reading this afternoon, Candace Pedraza, or Pedraza, if I'm saying that wrong, I'm not sorry. I don't care. Whatever. Candace and we got beef. Also, ma'am, this is a Wendy's. So, because I am the spicy redhead. Anyway, moving on. Should have changed my nameplate tonight. Really should have. But she's making...
Go and post pod and put Wendy down there. It's all good.
Yeah. Should have put put the pigtails back in this week. It'll be all right. God. So she writes about Will Howard's pro day, and that he goes 65 for 67, and he's playing air guitar as he's dropping bombs and all this stuff. Then decides to go on to report that he's not going to be a top pick for anyone in this draft class. I'm like, ma'am,
Oh.
come here. Instead. How's your mom and them? Come here.
I'm going to be Candace here.
First of all, yeah, there you go. I still don't understand why he gets so much hate. Is because, to watch the kid, we watched him all season. And yes, he had an embarrassment of riches to throw to, had a decent O-line to piecemeal together. I mean, it wasn't the greatest because we were dealing with injuries and shuffling and whatever. Dude is literally the quarterback for the national championship team.
By the way, made JJ McCarthy a first-round pick last year.
Right. I mean, from what
Will
he did
Howard to me is better than JJ McCarthy, but it's whatever.
Well, at least, JJ McCarthy still hasn't played in the NFL because, he tripped over his own feet in preseason, but that's beside the point.
Well, nobody. Here's the thing: like in JJ's defense, nobody gave him the defense's signals, before practice.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, so
Oops.
JJ's not getting all the advantages right now in the NFL that he got in college. Anyway,
so
allegedly.
So she goes on to say that he's not going to be anything more than a backup in the NFL. He's going to be a bust. So what is it? Is he going to be a bust or is he going to be a backup? Because you can't be both. Because if he gets a starting position, okay, you can potentially veer down the road for bust. I don't really think he's going to, but it could get there. But if he's going to be a backup, how do you bust? How does that work, Candace? I'm curious. Get out your crayons and explain it to me like I'm 5.
Do I think Will Howard? Here's all I know about Will Howard. Underestimate him at your own peril. Just underestimate him at your own peril. All he does is prove everybody wrong.
He does. Yeah, so go for it.
He wears that as a chip, and keep talking crap about him. Like seriously, like the kid thrives on that stuff.
So where I really got spicy with Candace is she goes on to compare Will Howard's pro day to Zach Wilson's. Good old Zach Wilson. And she says that Will Howard's pro day is the same trap that caused the Jets to pick him over Justin Fields. Now, here's the problem with that statement.
Hold on. Is that a thirst trap? Is it too soon for Zach Wilson's mom's best friend jokes?
I just thought you were referring to Will Howard's Dr. Pepper commercial.
No. You don't know the Zach Wilson thing?
No. The less I know about Zach Wilson, the better I am, truthfully.
So
I feel like a better human.
Let's just put it this way. You know the song Stacy's Mom?
Yes.
Zach Wilson starred in that song. Okay, now moving on.
Ew.
Oh yeah.
Gross.
Zach Wilson allegedly was very friendly with one of his mom's friends. So that's part of the legend of Zach Wilson. But anyway, go ahead. I can't believe you didn't know about that. That's usually something that's right in your ballpark. The less I
know about Zach Wilson, the better I am. I feel like a better human. So here's the deal. With what because it is looking like they are potentially leaning away from Shedeur too. They're talking about trying to pick up either Will Howard or Jackson Dart in the 3rd round. We've been here. We've had this conversation. Why are you going to screw around it too? Why?
They're not.
There's no need for games. There's no need for, well, maybe he'll be there, maybe they won't. That's the Cleveland legacy, is how many players have we passed up who have been superstars, who are now Super Bowl winners multiple years over, that the Browns did have the opportunity to draft and didn't.
Yeah.
So now, when you have the opportunity to get whatever quarterback you want, and you need one, because let's be honest, right now your quarterback room is a sexual predator and Kenny goddamn Pickett. End
This
of
is
list.
a bigger hand.
Like,
This is a bigger hand than Kenny Pickett's.
my hands are bigger than Kenny Pickett's hands, okay? My parents' dog Maggie's paws are bigger than Kenny Pickett's goddamn hands.
I kind of feel bad for Kenny Pickett now. Like
Why?
we've been dragging
No.
it. We've been dragging that guy for a few weeks now. I kind of feel for him.
Welcome to Cleveland, son. Get used to it. If you're gonna go and you're gonna cry in the locker room, or you're gonna cry, he's gonna get out. He's gonna get out of the locker room. He's gonna go to his 1993 Toyota Corolla, because that's all he can afford with his money. Probably has a spoiler on the back and everything.
Far pipe.
Covered in Bondo. If he does not get into his shit bucket of a car at the end of the day, put on some REM, Everybody Hurts, and cry on his drive home, I'm not doing my job.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it on the pod. To make Kenny Pickett
It's not
cry.
about. It's. But see, here's the thing. This is nothing new. Kenny Pickett has been catching strays on this podcast. Kenny Pickett has been catching strays from you and I personally since
from
Kenny
day
Pickett
one.
was drafted. From day one. And if I would have known him then, and if I would have known about him then, I'd have been making fun of the kid at birth.
Here's the thing too.
He's never going to grow into his hands.
And Kenny Pickett's defense.
No.
We did. No.
There
We
is no
did cheer.
defense.
No, there is. We did cheer. We collectively cheered when Pittsburgh drafted him in 22. We were like,
That is
yes,
true.
that is the pick, Pittsburgh. Yes, take Kenny Pickett. And
you know what? We will also collectively cheer when they bring Rodgers to Pittsburgh as well. I'm waiting for that breaking news. Come on, Schefter. Make it happen.
That is all the content we need. That'll take care of the offseason itself. It's good stuff. So getting back here, just the whole thing is, once again, if you're trying to pay attention and keep score to what the experts are saying, or you're watching every Twitter notification or YouTube, video, guys,
don't.
These things aren't changing. Like the Browns already know what they're doing. This dog and pony show, where they're going around all these people. It's not because they know what they're doing. They're not telling anybody what they're doing. They know what they're doing, but they also have to give the appearance that, hey, you know what? If Cam Ward's not there, Tennessee, if you don't take them, we're taking them. And that's got to get other teams thinking. And you want to do this. Like it's the smart play. You want, there's 4 guys that are in play for pick 1 or for pick 2 for the Browns. There's 4 guys there. You want everybody thinking you're taking all 4. And to the Browns' credit right now, that is what the national media is portraying. They have no clue. And that means other teams probably don't have an idea. And that's good for the Browns.
Well, I mean, I will be so happy when this draft finally happens, because it is a long, silly season.
It's going to get worse this week because the owners' meetings are going on. Like, it's only getting good. Andrew Berry came out and literally said, look, we're not trading up to number 1, but we could. Like, literally said that. Like, just
see, and since me being in Cleveland this week, now I'm actually going to see all the bullshit shenanigans in the news media.
You're going to see the clown show that is, what's getting silly season in the NFL. We're less than a month away. It'll be here before we know it. We're a couple Thursdays away from the draft, and I'm excited. I know one thing: the Browns will get better. The Browns will be a better team. I just depends
There's
on
nowhere to go but up. I mean,
right. I
we
mean,
were in a sub basement last year, so again, that's not really the flex that you think
well,
it
no,
is.
it's
But
just,
they're going to get better.
it's they are going to get a great player. They're going to get a great player too. I will be severely disappointed if it's not a quarterback. I truly, in my heart of heart, think it's going to be a quarterback, and I think it's going to be Shador Sanders. Uh, I've been wrong before. It's happened once every 4 or 5 years. But so anyway, but once again, I'm here. I'm here for the ridiculousness that is silly season, but just keep an eye on the prize. Look at the things that are consistent. Look at the constants, and the constants the whole time has been Shador Sanders. No matter if his draft stock's falling, if it's going up, if Abdul Carter's going up, going down, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, it's always been Shador. Like Shador has been that person. Tom McShay's been talking about Shador the whole time. Schefter said Shador for a while, then changed his tune, and then said, "Well, I think it's gonna be Abdul Carter, but it could be Shador." Like it's Shador, and that's the constant drumbeat. And I truly think it's going to be Shador Sanders. And like I said, I'm ready to watch this kid rock and roll.
If it is Shador Sanders, I'm not going to be upset. If it's Abdul Carter, truthfully, I'm not going to be upset. But just don't screw around. But see, you keep mentioning, we're going to get a great player, and when it gets closer to the draft and we start to talk more in depth about like the draft and what that's going to lead, it's going to entail, I'll kind of get into my personal philosophy a little bit when it comes to drafting players.
I think next week's the time for that. I think we should have that discussion next week. Yep.
I like it.
So
what else do we have for the joyous topic that we have of the Cleveland Browns?
A couple things. Deal with the Haslams, and then I'll be good for the night. Number one, Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports, who's one of the most dialed in guys with the Browns, national writer for Yahoo Sports, says great job. All but said this week in an article that Jimmy Haslam drove the Deshaun Watson trade. That's why Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski's jobs are safe, because ownership has taken responsibility for that debacle. So it's what we've been saying here. You and I have been saying this from day one when this happened, and we've always stuck by that with the pod. But
I believe that came out of the files from Duh and No Shit. But yeah, it's great to finally hear that he is he's owning it.
Yeah, and it's so once again, this whole year, and Charles Robinson even went into like the changing from Alex Van Pelt to Ken Dorsey, the changing of offensive philosophy was all a directive from ownership to make Deshaun Watson work. And when it failed miserably, Haslam's owning it and said, "Kevin, it's your team. Andrew, it's your team. Do it." So we're gonna see.
So does this mean he's actually stepping aside and going to let his people effectively do what they do better than him?
I'll believe it when I see it, because our thoughts on Jimmy here. Jimmy does everything. Jimmy takes he messes everything up. Like, he's one of the worst owners in football. But if he's learned something from this, and he's maybe been a little humbled, a little humored by this, maybe we get to see Andrew Berry with the gloves off and unshackled. Maybe we get to see mad Kevin Stefanski and just the guy who's been 2-time coach of the year. I hope
maybe we don't use the term unshackled though. Maybe we use another term.
Okay. Is that a little too spicy for the pod?
I just don't want to get canceled, dude.
So had that, and then the final thing was, as I talked about, I don't want to get too political here. Mike DeWine, I gave him kudos. You got the article. He did not allow Ohio to. He's like, no, we're gonna fund this stadium the right way, and he's fighting the bond. The $6 million bond.
I thought there was a new bromance on the rise.
Briefly. and then he signed Senate Bill 1. And as a former teacher, as a former union member, what he just did to public education, making it illegal for teachers to strike in Ohio, with the hope to privatize schools, is disgusting. And the fact that when you see the picture of him signing it with this big smile on his face, I was disgusted by him. And once again, in one fell swoop, he had all the he had my complete, like, hey, you know what, I like what this guy's saying, and then he just pissed it all away with that. And for my, like I said, for my former colleagues, this is a really rough time for teachers and in education, between what the Trump administration is doing to the Department of Education, which is going to hurt everybody. And now what Mike DeWine's doing with SB1. My heart's out with my former crew, and I feel for them. And it's gonna be a rough couple years here in the public service world. I mean, we already see it in the government. They're firing every public servant they can. And it's now going to happen. It's now going to happen in education, and it breaks my heart. It really does. And to my fellow teachers and my fellow public servants out there, I'm with you guys. I'm no longer in that. I'm no longer professionally in that world, but I will always be there with my heart in my head. And I just, you got people on your side. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep doing what's best for kids. And keep making the world a better place. We need it more now than ever.
That's very disheartening. It's very shocking that you're going to take money that can be going to positively impact millions of children in the state of Ohio, and you're taking that to give to a billionaire to build a little playground for millionaires to play on. That's absolutely disgusting.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's not, like, he's very pragmatic in his thought, And he said, and he made a great point. He said, "Well, isn't a bond issue like a loan?" And I said it is. I said, technically, that's what a bond's supposed to be, is basically public money put up, and then you eventually pay it back.
Oh, okay.
And they would pay it back through, taxes, or whether it's parking taxes, whether it's ticket taxes. But the idea is you get it back. But that never happens. Those bonds, especially when they go for, billionaire playgrounds like this, those bonds never ever get paid back, and they know in Columbus they're not going to get paid back. This was about not having to raise taxes on big corporations like the gambling industry, because they're lobbying and they're putting a lot of money into campaigns of Ohio people, of Ohio representatives, and it's just a shame. And then, like I said, then DeWine, talk about, hey, we got to defend our public schools and make sure kids don't have to pay to participate and all that stuff, to, oh, by the way, we're going to absolutely do everything we can to destroy public schools. And within 24 hours, literally, it was just disgusting. And I just, like I said, my heart hurts for my former profession. It really does.
I mean, and again, I'm not home, so I don't see the day-to-day news clips and things like that. So unless it's sent to me, or if I actively seek it out, I don't know. But what I know, and what I've seen about this bond issue when it comes to stadium, or funding the new stadium and catering to the whims of a egomaniacal billionaire who, wants his own personal playground, truthfully. There's easy ways to absolutely do this. One is through the sin tax, through gambling, which now you have sports betting in literally everything. You have stat lines that are now rolling across the ticker along with the league scores. You've got ESPN and
think about the last two television deals in Northeast Ohio: Bally's and FanDuel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bally's, who started out as casino gaming and things like that, and moved on from that before it was turned into an absolute dumpster fire. And yeah, and FanDuel. It's every online
Everything's
gambling since it's
gambling,
been legalized.
right?
Yeah, right. So it would be stupid not to take a cut of that. And plus, again, as I mentioned earlier, the the amount of taxes that the state of Ohio could potentially be looking at from legalizing again a certain recreational enhancement substance is also astronomical.
And I want
So,
people, and I really want people watching to look out how other states deal with gambling and weed, and what Ohio's
so,
proposing to do to deal with gambling and weed. It is night and day. Other states are
I'll
getting
tell
rich
you
from this.
exactly because Michigan,
Yeah,
where I now live, so basically, and I'm not kidding when I say this, when you hit the Ohio Michigan border and you see the welcome to Michigan sign, you're greeted with no less than 6 billboards for dispensaries. Not even kidding. Because it's legal there, it's recreational legally there. And the amount of taxes that the state of Michigan gets from those sales is pretty astronomical. There's also legalized gambling here. You know, they've got Greektown in Detroit. You've got all sorts of casinos around there. You've got casinos in other parts of the state as well. But see, it's not just Michigan dollars that's going there
right.
because you've got people that are coming in from all over the place. And especially when it comes to the dispensaries, you've got people who are coming in from Ohio because they could, for the longest time, could not legally get it here.
And
And
they could legally get it here, but it's still not accessible
see, and that's the
because
thing that drives me.
Ohio's dragging their feet on this. For whatever reason, they're dragging their feet on this, and it's costing the state so much money.
So much money.
Yeah, like
And
it's
I don't know
insane.
why you are leaving so much money on the table and stuff that could be used to fund countless projects.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's because again, with before we, kind of wrap up political talk here, um, I with everything that's going on in this country, people are going to need vices, whether it be betting, whether it be weed, whether it be drinking, whether it be dark romance novels, whatever. People are going to need something as a release valve. And if the state has an opportunity that something that people are going to do anyway, and they have that opportunity to tax it, I don't understand what the fight is.
Yeah,
Other than the fact that the gambling industry is pushing against it and bitching because they don't want to lose any money as well. But now
it's
that's costing the state of Ohio to lose money.
Yeah. And we're still
Because
in
the
this
people
part.
are still going to do it.
We're in 2025, and for half of Ohio, they're still living in 1920, and it's just when it comes to revenue streams, you can't. I mean, we still have alcohol-free counties in Ohio in
Yes, there's still dry
2025.
counties.
We
Mm-hmm.
still have dry cities, dry counties in Ohio in 2025. I mean, what are we
The
doing?
fact that in certain cities you can't sell booze before noon on Sundays.
But yet so same people who are crying about freedom, the freedom to do this and the freedom to do that, while they restrict everybody's freedom to do stuff. It just I could do that. We could do a whole pod on this.
We can.
Bebe.
That's a whole different kind of podcast.
It is, and we try not to do a lot of political talk, but sometimes there's an intersection of politics and sports, and I'm never a guy who's going to tell somebody to just shut up and dribble. I think we should all be able to have our say, and we just happen to have a platform where we can talk about this stuff. And I if my message to you guys, if you're infuriated like us, do something about it.
Yeah.
I can remember when a certain person was elected the first time president, and I literally had couple of kids crying because they thought their lives were going to be over because of their personal, their lives, because of things in their lives. And they, they said, "What do we do?" And I said, "Look, I'm not here to say one side or the other, but I'm saying if you don't like something, you're never too young to do something about it. You might not be able to vote, but you could definitely do." And one of my former students, or one of my students at that time, 6 months later, led a rally in downtown Worcester with a megaphone, and I was so proud of her. It was one of the proudest things I've ever been as a teacher. And once again, because she took action, and you don't like the world around you, take action. You can do that. You can do that.
Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to leave the pod today, by the way.
I think it is too.
Absolutely. Short and spicy this week.
I like it.
So next week, more draft talk. Let's talk about the team that will not be named because they're going to be winning games because we won't be mentioning them. And hopefully the Guardians, go start their home series on an uptick. And we will know next Sunday when we get here.
We will.
And whatever other fun stuff happens in the sports world.
I am sure there'll be plenty of sports shenanigans that will happen this week, especially because we're getting closer to the draft.
I will say through the history of this,
there's a lot more pro days that are going to be happening.
Through the 18 weeks we've been doing this pod, we've never been disappointed in 1 week. We've always had something pop up that we had no idea was going to.
There have definitely been some weeks where we're just like, hold on, we can only do so long of a show here, kids. Hold on.
I mean, we got to do the whole Ohio State run, to the whole Miles drama, to the no coordinate, 2 awesome coordinators for Ohio State, to no coordinators for Ohio State, back to 2 awesome. We've had a lot of stuff. So it's been a good 18 episodes, Bebe.
It has, and here's to at least 18 more and beyond.
So. Hope so. I hope so.
Well, with that all being said, from the dog pound to the shoe, and all of the spicy shenanigans in between, I'm Bebe.
And I'm BC.
This has been the I-71 Playbook Podcast.
Like and subscribe.